Let's go!
For anybody that wasn't here earlier this week, the EVO announcements happened. And at EVO, there was a whole bunch of stuff that was announced directly related to how the space was going to change and how things were going to be different at this EVO. Probably the most different an EVO has been in a very long time, man. Like a super long time. With that being said, kind of want to go over a lot of the differences because EVO's a big part of my channel now. You know, we rebroadcast this stuff to like 40 to 60,000 people on average. It's huge, right? It's now my rebroadcast stream of EVO is like the way people find out about EVO and want to go to EVO. You know, I've always been working with the EVO guys since like 2012. You know, I've literally been contributing and assisting and being part of their show and, you know, all of that stuff for a very long time now, helping out with cool stuff like announcements for KI last year, which was amazing to be a part of, you know. With that being said, I'm happy to report that we're going to cover a whole bunch of stuff in like a general Q&A for what's going down at EVO this year. We got Rick, who is like the general manager of EVO. I am going to go ahead and pull him in on a call. Let me make sure he's ready. And we'll just start like going over some of the general stuff that is going down for EVO this year. For anybody you guys that don't know, this is Rick. He's the general manager at EVO, and he obviously, you know, has been handling things like Combo Breaker. How you doing, Rick?
I'm doing pretty well, although I definitely misconstrued Central Time with Pacific Time when we picked out when we were doing this.
Yeah, so is it so Central Time? That means it is 4 a.m. approximately, right?
Praise be, no, but it is like
it's close. So just a little bit of backstory because I've known you for a long time, and the chat might not know this, but this goes all the way back to, I'd say, even like CEO stuff way back in the day, UFGT and early Combo Breaker. I'm pretty sure I did commentary for KI at the first Combo Breaker, right?
You did. There is even a hilarious still image somewhere in Callisto's library of how botched the lower third got during that block, and I can't remember who you're titled, but it's not you.
I immediately hear things like lower thirds, and that appeals to my streamer brain. Oh, I want to highlight something. And Rick, this might blow your mind unless you haven't seen the Yo video game streams in a long time. Do you see this image on the stream right now?
Yeah, I still can't believe you're still using that.
Dude, I can't take myself to get rid of it. For anybody that doesn't know, chat, Rick helped me out in my early stream days back in like 2014 with like layouts. And no kidding, he made our Yo video games 4x3 layout that I still use to this day. So, I mean, I really appreciate that. The other thing that I got to mention is that Rick was kind of directly responsible for making some of my dreams come true, especially with his time over at Twitch. So the cool part about being officially contracted with Twitch was that we were given like resources to work with. One of those was like, well, if Max wants to run tournaments, what kind of tournaments does Max want to run? And I'm like, I have some crazy ideas that no one will ever say yes to. And somehow when Rick was over at Twitch, you guys were like, no, we could do that.
Would not go with it being that simple, but I am a glutton for good ideas, and running Marvel on Twitch Rivals was about as good as they were going to get.
Yeah, it wasn't nearly as bad. Like, so Marvel and KI, like, obviously were pretty Killer Instinct attached. Working out the cool logistics of KI last year was quite fun, and you know, getting all of that stuff online is just another testament to how cool EVO can be in terms of, you know, a community event to sort of bring everybody together, which is why I want to thank you for the Killer Instinct 10th anniversary tournament last year. That was awesome.
Yeah, it was a good exhibition. Need to get a tournament going one of these days too, though.
So, talking about EVO 2024, all the backstory has been established now. So this year's EVO is changing dramatically. By the way, congratulations. I saw the images or the tweets you guys posted about like registrations and stuff, and you know, new venue, new place, new location, new EVO, and it's kind of daunting. And I'd imagine on your end that's kind of scary, but apparently like a lot of people are signing up and it's going pretty good, right?
In that first day window, year over year, reg went up 75%, which is daunting's not a strong enough word, Max. Certainly exciting too, potentially terrifying, but trying to prep for a even bigger show than we were prepping for before we launched, and we were already prepping for a very large show.
Yeah, and that's the cool part, is that like this show is sort of going back to something that the older Evos kind of had energy wise, and I it's hard to say if it's like, is it a Bally's Evo, is it a Rio Evo, audio balancing chat. You know, an LVH Evo, it's maybe something that takes a little bit of the best of all those worlds, right?
I think it's definitely the target is best of all those worlds while being none of those things. The advantage to going over to Las Vegas Convention Center, and specifically the West Hall. Evo has never been in the West Hall. The last time the Evo event series was at Las Vegas Convention Center, West Hall didn't exist. West Hall's new. It surprisingly still feels clean, even though it's in Vegas. Like, there's some great opportunities in that space, but the biggest one for us, or the one that I'm most excited about, is let's us put the tournament and the finals experience and the convention all back in one space that you can just travel through freely. For a long time here, Evo's been a 2-day show with a separate finals event that was a separate ticket where everybody has to break out largely either into their seats or into a hotel room with a bunch of friends trying to watch it.
Pretty much.
This, hopefully, eliminates that problem in its entirety.
That's cool. Like, this venue space has obviously always been a big thing. One of the big changes this year, as you guys were mentioning during the show, is like the all-inclusive like price of the event and like finals day. Finals day is a lot different than it was at the Mandalay Bay, right?
Yeah. So when we hit finals this year, all the games are actually going to be on main stage. For a while now at Mandalay Bay, you've had the convention finals and the arena experience.
For sure.
This time, every game in the lineup hits that arena experience because we're building an arena in the convention center. Raised stadium seating, comprehensive audio and lighting, the entire presentation that was at Michelob Ultra Arena. We're even flying an LED ribbon around the back so it still has that same look.
Wow. So wait, so like building the stadium seating similar to how the stadium kind of was at the Mandalay Bay, just like literally in the middle of the convention center?
By the grace of Formula One racing being in Vegas now, there is a large amount of infrastructure in Nevada dedicated to raised platform seating, which we now have access to because in between Formula One races, it's still sitting in Nevada. Those vendors being present means we can now rent that gear.
Galaxy brain. Literal galaxy brain. So the same viewing experience is just going to be going down in that same the West Hall, right?
Still planning on tweaking the view experience a bit. It's not going to be a perfect 1-1 translation because it is a different space. But in terms of, can we have raised seating? Check. Can we have even more floor seating spread out wide like the old Bally's experience where it's not just here's your 4 rows at the arena. Can we get 8? Can we get 10? Yes.
Yeah.
Can we have some open walk areas? Can we have something maybe resembling the return of the box? Possibly. There's a bunch of things in here that I'm pretty excited about being able to bring from multiple eras of Evo into one show space.
And yeah, that big difference with the show space is the change now, because we don't have to essentially worry about like the finals day moving everything out of there because of space limitations, much less, you know, the event taking place in a big arena. This is the first time Evo has ever been a true 3-day event where, you know, the event goes on for the 3rd day, which is also finals day, right?
Yep. So the tournament pit becomes a casuals pit come Sunday. So you can sit out there and just play games to your heart content. Stagings that are available in that area are going to be able to show the finals matches, so you don't have to miss out on any of those pieces. Arcade will still be up and running, Artist Alley up and running, Vendor Village up and running. All the experiential components of the show itself still open on Sunday, so you can go in, catch some matches from finals, go back out, check out the rest of what's on the show floor. You kind of get to choose what you want to do. I anticipate there's going to be people here on Sunday who literally just sit in the arcade. We're going to fly a screen so they can still watch finals out in that area, but
Sick.
There's going to be someone who just sits on the shmups cabs and looks up at finals, but probably doesn't leave the shmups cabs.
So yeah, your Evo experience doesn't have to be compromised if that's the case, right? You can still be enjoying the rest of the event because things like the Artist Alley, like you said, the arcades, and, you know, pretty much the bring your own console stuff, that's all still available, right?
Yep. Community tournaments will be flying on Sunday too, so lots to do, lots to experience. It's actually going to have the traditional festival problem where you can't do everything at once. You've got to pick and choose your priorities. Do you want to get up, be there early, do the hunt for general admission front row in the arena? Do you want to kind of have a laissez-faire Sunday where you just wander around doing whatever you kind of want to do in the moment? And anything in between there, you get to pick your own vibe this year.
So what's cool about that to me, and I'm thinking from like, I always put myself in the most like casual spectator perspective. It's just the nature of my channel and my experience. I put myself in the perspective of somebody that like isn't directly looking forward to every single game on finals day, right? They might just be super into, you know, Under Night, or they might be specifically there for Tekken or a couple other games. If they're hanging out on finals day, there's going to be these big screens and sort of like collective energy taking up the entire space of that time frame. So even if you're, you know, in the BYOC area or the what's it called, Artist Alley area, anything like that, or the arcade, you're going to be like a part of, you know, a crazy finals no matter what, right?
I mean, that's certainly the ambition.
I mean, that seems cool, especially if it's just a different kind of like thing to imagine where you won't be able to not hear like the crowd reactions to stuff. Like that will be permeating the entire place and people will be curious like what's going down, and if there's like a screen to check stuff out, you know, like you said, viewing areas, that'll be really sick.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that part a lot because I think there's a great value in being in the arena, having that energy, but I think there's a pretty cool experience from Bally's is a great example of this. Being out and enjoying the rest of the show and having that energy kind of float out of the finals energy towards you.
Yeah, I agree.
We haven't had that in a very, very long time. I'm stoked to have that back.
Yeah, I think one of my personal favorite ones was Paris/Bally's Evo, and it was cumbersome because like, man, finals day, that space was not that big, all things considered. Getting seats and selection for finals day, if you want to watch Street Fighter 4 or anything like that, it was kind of hard. But still, it was like, yeah, being in a big packed ass room of just like, take your seat as you choose them, hopefully your friend grabbed one, you know, type of stuff, was definitely a classic Evo experience that's been gone for quite some time now.
Yep, and that's back. Now we have the benefit of the arena build-out this year seats more people than the build-outs that we've had the last couple of years at Mandalay Bay. Although that will certainly still be part of the show, we're hoping fewer people have to really experience that part of the show.
Cool. I see chat already asking questions. Is there any way to get tickets without registering to compete? Yes. If one of our mods can grab, I think it's, what is the direct website? It's not evo.gg, is it, Rick? It's evo2k?
You can get a link from evo.gg. Otherwise, if you just go to start.gg/evo, tickets are available direct from there.
There is like spectator passes and stuff like that. You do not have to compete. It is, you know, tournaments have effectively turned into conventions now. This is sort of like the fighting game convention of the world, which is, you know, what we've tried to share with people from the home experience. Is there anything else you want to highlight before I start grilling you about Third Strike?
We're jumping straight to that. You want to do that first?
I'm like, it's on my mind, so I want to hear more stuff about the show first and foremost, because like obviously Third Strike's I'm an old head, you know, this is my old game, so I'm just really curious how things are going down. But at the same point, Evo's changed so much, I want to make sure I'm not missing anything else.
Well, let's grab a couple of the things that I've seen fly by in chat, then we'll drill into how much sanity I have left.
I don't want to get too selfish too fast.
Third Strike. So food and drink. When you pick up your badge at the show, you're going to get a water bottle again this year. There's a water station in the event. There's water fountains all over the convention center. So drinks, not a problem in that capacity. Can't bring in a ton of food throughout the convention center. However, directly outside this convention center space is a large format food court. You're never far away from food. On the opposite side of that food court, there are entire ballrooms dedicated to registration. So we have a ability to eliminate the kind of grotesque line situation from Evo last year, speed that up, keep that efficient.
Cool.
Inside the venue hall, a couple of new things this year. The Arcade Stick Museum has expanded to the Beyond the Arcade Stick Museum, so there is more than just Mark Mann's living room in there. There are pads, there are leverless controllers, there are oddities that he has collected over the years. There is an actual art museum at Evo this year, tons of legacy posters. We've even found ways to bring out some of like the card art from the old Street Fighter card game.
So like a literal like classic like Capcom art, SNK art like museum?
Yes. So
Whoa.
Building that out, that'll be at the event this year. The arcade is scaling in size from last year. We're trying to get another probably 100 cabs on the floor. I'm not going to be held to that number today, but that's the current goal. We're chasing being the second largest convention arcade ever. Saying second only because there is a retro arcade convention, I think it's the pinball one in Portland, that we're just not going to beat, and I'm not going to lie to you, chat. That's realistic goal.
It's a little tough.
That's the name of the game right now.
Yeah.
Artist Alley's huge again. BYOC is expanded. Community Showcase is returning. There is a brand new build out for the Evo showcase on Friday. So all of those industry panels, the devs, the pubs, the interviews. We've got Seth Killian coming back to talk to a player again.
Nice. Seth, is just like the father slash, I guess, grandfather of like, fighting game stuff in many ways. So it's just so sick to see him. I know if he's watching this, he's going to be severely pissed off if I said he's the grandfather of like this FGC stuff. But I genuinely enjoy the energy he brings and the perspective he's had from all the years of working at like big companies like Capcom and, many others over this time. So it's so sick to see him on stage, like interviewing devs, much less players.
I love having Seth around. I think Evo without Seth feels wrong, and obviously in the sense that this show will hopefully continue for decades past both of us, there'll be a point where there's an Evo without a Seth Killian, but I'm just really happy that I don't have to live in that era yet. Everything's
getting bigger. You said like the arcade, so the arcade's getting larger, like the BYOC stuff, all that stuff is getting bigger. In terms of like usual operating hours for people that have not gone to an Evo before or are fighting from the first time, how does that stuff work? Is there like a shut-off time for each day?
Yep, so we're in open doors at 9 a.m. this year, all 3 days. The goal at the moment is to be closed out by about 10:30 each day. There is always the chance that tournaments run a little long.
Yeah.
And although we're working against that, that's the expectation. Get that good 13-hour show.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's great. I'm trying to think of anything else I have questions for on my end. In terms of the streaming experience, we have some pretty similar stuff from like last year, right? Where when we're going to be watching a lot of these streams from home, there's going to be like sort of dedicated streams and unique Evo channels for all of like even the smaller games to the bigger games to community games as well, right?
Yep, there'll be 7 to 8 streams live all day on Friday and Saturday as we kind of work through the qualification rounds of the tournaments. How long those are up, when they're up, is going to be a little bit dependent on total registration numbers, but looking at Reg so far this week, they're going to be on for the whole day.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then as we get to Sunday, we'll have obviously the Arena Finals experience with the closeout games that have the largest registration for the show this year. That will be showcased throughout the rest of the convention center. And we have a couple of ideas for what we're going to be doing with those qualification stages come Sunday. I guess we could talk about that too if you wanted.
Yeah, so how exactly is that working?
On Sunday, one of the things we want to do with those qualification stages is gift them to members of the community or community tournaments so that there's still either active competition during the show for some of the other games that are showing up on site, and the ability to generate, for the first time at Evo, live watch parties.
Interesting. So live watch parties. I have several questions. I think we should talk about the third strike question first, if you don't mind me being so aggressive. Third strike is going down this year. It's the classic game. I have been debating with my chat that there's no way this is happening. It's a logistical nightmare. The game does not have like a universal version, between the online edition, which is old as dirt, and the anniversary collection, which has varying differences between each version. You can't run the Dreamcast version because it sucks. It competitively sucks, mind you. A lot of people casually love that version of the game, and it is good. And then Fightcade's obviously emulation, and emulation is just a general no-go when it comes to big official tournaments like EVO, which have to get, actual licensing approval from all these companies. So what the hell is the plan for Third Strike this year?
So on Monday before the show aired, I would have told you the plan is to aggressively drive around and bring in as many modded arcade cabs as we could so that people could have a traditional experience, and also for everyone who has learned to play the game in recent years on other methods of competition, get the experience that they're used to. I am not going to shy away from telling you that hundreds of people registered for Third Strike already, and we're just a couple of days into registration being open.
Oh dear.
So that plan no longer feels very viable.
Oh dear.
What we are looking to do now, as I am committed to this tournament existing on arcade hardware, PCB's version 990512 arcade hardware, I'm going to try to put together the largest fleet of super guns we've ever seen.
Literal arsenal of super guns so that people so like yeah, like things like so okay, we're talking actual arcade hardware, probably the most Third Strike machines have ever been collectively in one spot in human history, as well as super guns in a focused location to make the stream actually see that the old piece of hardware, right? In terms of like control in terms of like control stick and compatibility, like how does that exactly work? Is there a solution yet, or are we still sort of waiting on that?
Variety of USB modifications that don't impact the arcade board or the presentation, that don't get in the way of super gun solutions, and still let you use a stick that you're used to playing on at home. Because again, there is a ton of people playing Third Strike right now that have literally never played Third Strike in an arcade.
Yeah,
there
exactly.
are people playing Third Strike right now on leverless controllers, making that affront to God their intended way of experiencing the game. I want all of them to still be able to play too, because one of the joys of bringing these throwback tournaments to EVO, it's not just celebrating what the game was when it was at EVO previously.
Yeah,
it's celebrating what the game is in the fighting game community today.
I think that's funny that you say that. And yeah, there's actually a storied history of going to EVO and seeing what weird ass control schemes people have. You know, like you're playing this on a Guitar Hero controller, dope. You know, playing this on a dance pad, that's a joke I've had forever. Where it's like, hey, should I play an arcade stick or, you know, control pad? I'm like, just go get a DDR dance mat. Because I saw that at like an EVO in 2007 or something like that. And there was a dude that had a crazy wooden box keyboard controller back all the way in, I think, 06 or 07 Third Strike. And we were just like looking at this dude like he came from another planet. We're just like, what is going on? So I think that's awesome. It's awesome that this will be no different than that.
Nah, it's going to be great. And I should clarify, for all of our affront to God, even though my camera's not on right now, there's an Empress Nano like 2 feet from me that I've been playing Tekken 8 on. So it's 2024.
I do genuinely think it's crazy how, you know, the revolution of new control types and sticks and the way people play fighting games is cool. It's just cool to see how many different fashions are than before, where it's like, oh, if you're not playing with an arcade stick, you're an idiot and we're gonna shame you. You know, now to the point where, oh, you're playing with an arcade stick, you're an idiot and I'm gonna shame you.
I just want to get to that point. I want to be around for the point where we're just skipping peripherals entirely. The game's jacked directly into our brains, and it's like, I tech that. Brain scan says no.
I swear I thought about it. And it sounds incredibly cool, because, like, again, the hardest part of Third Strike is the logistics of it. It's just figuring out how do we get something that'll still be welcoming to all the classic Third Strike players, which like to complain a lot, mind you. And they very much like their own specific way of playing the game, whether it is, you know, an emulation version or an arcade version. So I think this is likely the best bet all around in terms of setting up a classic tournament like this. So I do very much appreciate EVO taking on an undertaking like this, and it seems to be working out, because if that many people are showing up, well, damn.
I'm excited to see just how many show up, because coming off of Marvel vs. Capcom 3 last year and the response to that, I think the opportunity to have an actual rally point for a game every now and again is a really powerful opportunity to celebrate the pre-existing player base and how far that game has come. Like, yeah. Third Strike is not young. This is a 25-year-old game that has kind of been kept alive, whether it's from the dedicated player base at arcades where they're left, whether it's online through the utilities that people have developed to play that way, whether it's Co-op Cup, whether it's Jazzy Circuit here in the States. That deserves to be rewarded time and again.
And not to mention, isn't this the anniversary of like EVO Moment 37?
20 years of Justin not living down one single tournament moment.
Oh, I have to give you guys props. Whoever was like the conceptual team, much less the execution team behind the in Chipotle like concept of, you know, FGC figureheads talking to each other back and forth. I genuinely had a great time for that EVO announcement stream. It's my favorite one so far.
I think that was a fun show. Ben worked on that show leading it up. He's our programming director with EVO now. I think that original concept was actually pitched by Kid Liquid. I still don't entirely know how we got that from concept to reality, so I'm really glad that turned out and what the response was. it has been incredible to see the response to that. The team that helps work in our partnerships department in talking with Chipotle and some of the agencies they work with, we found out this week that that post of just the skit at the opening of the show had performance levels across the internet that rivaled paid campaigns from the NFL this week.
Damn, people show up, dude. You just talk about fighting games and you get like, this is the thing, man. I just have to gush here for a second. You get people passionate about certain things and they show up. And I think fighting game community stuff, and especially the unique FGCs therein, that I've had the wonderful luxury of like spearheading and being a part of myself. The KI Lives thing that we did on Twitter, right? Or you know, Bring Back KI blew up way bigger than I thought it would. Obviously, Free Marvel 2 was like huge. Even we got like Pokimane talking about it and stuff, which obviously has like an integrated part of Evo 2. It was like, and then we have other massive celebrities. I'm like, yo, this blew up to a point where I was not ready for this. So it just follows that same vein where it's like, yeah, when you actually ask people and ask them to show up in some way to show support, they usually do.
Great to see. It's one of the things where, you know, the fighting game community has been a community for a very long time, and at this scale, it's often hard to discuss it not as a culture instead of just a community. But when it rallies, when we rally kind of towards one moment or around one occurrence, there is a lot of traction every year when that happens, no matter what it happens with. And so I love seeing that happen. I hope I can be part of more opportunities that create that focus. It's one of the cool parts about stopping by here tonight, just in the chat.
No, I agree. And I have to give a shout out to the chat, which is one of the best Evo experiences, which is why I value so much restreaming Evo, you know, for the past few years now, for the first time ever. Not a lot of people maybe realize this from my chat that have been around for a long time, but I never had the chance until a couple years ago to actually stream Evo. I was always going to the show, much less a pandemic happened and nobody was going, you know, and in between that time, it was like, oh man, I've never actually had the viewer side experience from Evo this year. I think with that being said, me and Rick have been talking a lot about the streaming experience of Evo, and we have been discussing for quite some time because obviously they pop off, and I really appreciate the fact that so many people tune into my channel along with like the main channels, and they just want like, oh, we want like a cool community to be around, and I'm very lucky that people chose my channel to be that. Long story short, yeah, we have a minor announcement to go along with that. The announcement is that me and Rick have been conceptualizing an idea for Evo this year, similar to our crazy other concepts, where it was like, hey, Rick, I want to do a live action assist me over Parsec for Marvel 3. Do you think that's possible? He's like, he wouldn't say no.
So, no, I said no. Don't lie to the people. The first thing I said was no.
He didn't immediately say no, and I appreciate that. In the same way this year, I'm going to be going to Evo. But there's a huge thing that we have ultimately recognized that going to Evo is great if I just get to be a part of the show, right? And I just do the things that I've normally done. But at the same point, we have something super valuable here where everyone sort of rallies and comes and shows up on my channel. What me and Rick have been doing is a sort of rebroadcast of Evo from Evo. And again, it's not like, you know, I can just still do that from home. Like the value of the home experience is really valuable to a lot of people. Having the chat there, a one-to-one interaction, while just flipping between Evo Channel 1 to Evo Channel 8, I'm going to be going between, you know, we're watching Street Fighter 6, and all of a sudden we're watching a Virtua Fighter 5 Final Showdown or something like that, Ultimate Showdown stream on, like, Evo 16. And I find that really valuable. I find that, like, fun that we get to just see everything, and there's really no constraints. So the idea behind it is that we're going to do our best to keep that experience while I'm actually at Evo. And again, we don't want it to be the exact same thing, but I'm just like at the show now. I don't want to be walking around in IRL streaming with a camera. I do not want that. I think the one-to-one chat interaction of an Evo stream from Evo could actually be kind of cool. But of course, Rick is like, we need to enhance it. And I'm like, I agree. We need to do something cool. And the idea behind it was that, well, if I'm at Evo, we should take advantage of that. We can have guests. We can obviously talk to Matt McMuscles and Justin if they do end up obviously going. We can even have like a live from Evo podcast like at the show. Video Games can show up with us with the chat as we like sit and watch with all of Video Games, and you guys just get to sit in and be a part of that entire show. And again, the most important part is that we have the chat. We have like a one-to-one interaction of people that are with us for like announcements and finals and everything like that. And even the craziest part is that depending on what's there, what's available, which devs go, we might even be able to get devs to show up and potentially even have hands-on. We can't guarantee anything as of right now, but a lot of these devs have been super cool with me in the past, right? And we've done some really cool stuff preview-wise. And there's some sick stuff that we already know about that is going to be there. So it's like, hey, you know what? Go ahead, Rick.
Oh no, I'm just telling you to pause.
Oh, okay. I'll stop right there. There's only so much we can say before we can like guarantee what the experience is going to be. So we're working on it is all I'm saying. I'm not trying to spoil too much, and I'm dreaming here, but it sounds like an actual elevated experience, right? It sounds like something that would be different and more enhanced than what I'm providing from home. Does it mean that I'm going to be like walking the show floor a lot? Unfortunately, probably not, chat. I'm probably going to be, on stream the majority of the time. That's our big announcement. And I have to give a huge shout out to you again, Rick, for, we're still figuring out the logistics of all this stuff, trying to figure out how it's going to work and, getting production and all that kind of stuff. So I really do appreciate it. I appreciate the time and effort you guys are putting into me. There was seemingly less and less reason for me to actually like go to the event because so many people were enjoying it from home,
I think it's great to have you do it from home because it gives everybody who's watching and wants to watch with you a great place to go and do that. I think the opportunities to build out something even more unique on site are very real. And so getting to play in that sandbox this year is fantastic because if everything else is trying to go for broke this year, and it literally is, might as well do the same thing with you.
I appreciate it. I really do. It seems, once again, this is a big shift for Evo as an event. Going back to, I've always enjoyed Evo for the past, like, any years I've gone. It's always, like, a highlight of my entire year. Seeing the community, being a part of it, getting to say hi to 1 billion people, getting sick at the end because of contacting, like, 1 billion people and stuff. So it just came with, like, 10 to 15 years of going to events like this. So I do really appreciate how we can provide something that is, like, the home enjoyable experience of watching Evo, but actually being at Evo and taking advantage of all the other cool stuff that is while we're there, including people, because that's the biggest thing of Evo is the people that are going.
It's cool to be able to see so many people we know in one place every year. It's cool meeting new people every year in a quantity where it's almost hard to remember everyone just because there's so many people at one time in one place.
I'm gonna feel almost bad that I won't be able to say hi to everybody because I'll be streaming so much. I think that's it for our announcements. Rick, is there anything else you want to possibly cover? Where should people be going to get Evo tickets?
You can head over to evo.gg. We launched a brand new website this week, so it should load on your smartphones, on your computers, and every other text device you have, unless it's a Blueberry from like 1992. If you want to register for the show tonight, you go to start.gg/Evo. Tickets are available today. You can get a 3-day pass, or you can get a 1-day pass if you only want to stop by once. Cool thing about the new site, though, since you're pulling it up here on the stream, Evo has moved into content creation over the last 2 months. One of the goals we have this year is to actually be highlighting the community and the games more regularly, and to be doing so with articles, with editorial, with videos. We just launched a new YouTube channel, actually, called Evo FGC. There's a couple of videos up there, including a Rivals React with JDCR and Saint that I think is honestly great.
Yeah, and I have to give a big shout out to the Evo FGC YouTube channel, because they have already put out several videos that I'm just like, whoa, this is great. Like, this is the stuff that I've been, like, kind of wanting to see. And high quality footage of, like, big moments. I think there was, like, a Marvel one that we watched recently. So that was incredibly cool, and it's cool to see all of those assets still existing in the back burner somewhere and now being put towards, YouTube content. I love it.
One of the things I'm most excited about, Max, and honestly, this isn't even like a promo moment. This is just, I know that you'll nerd out about this. With the exception of the IGN years, which we're still working on, there's finally actually a digitized archive of all of Evo. And so the ability to now use Evo as a historical resource for what has happened in the community for 20 plus years, all the matches that have gone into that, we can go back through and bring that forward into the current generation. Because there's a lot of you probably in chat tonight that came in with Street Fighter V or Dragon Ball FighterZ or Guilty Gear Strive, and there is a really insane amount of cool things that have happened at Evo from before when we all got here that we can now bring forward now. If you if you pull up the Evo Events YouTube channel, topical for you tonight, they just threw up a best of Third Strike where the first match in that is over the camera footage at a projector screen on a wall where you can tell there's no projector screen, it's just on the wall.
Yo, what?
And it's because we finally went back through and collected all the old DVD footage.
Oh my god! Oh my god! I'm probably gonna watch this right after this. Chat, check this out. So this is also on Evo Events YouTube page, and yeah, like it's legit. Like the remastered versions of these old matches. Like this looks like Evo West footage. Remember that stuff?
It some of it's very, very old. So like KO vs Daigo there is Evo in 2003.
Yeah, this was back when like they used to have like Evo West in San Diego or something like that. I can't remember if that's what it is directly, but this around that time frame. I remember this match, Evo 2006 Valle versus Daigo. Oh my god, it definitely didn't look this good. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, the fun part in here is there's even the Nuki match where he actually wins Evo. Daigo and Justin didn't that year, by the way.
Yeah, it's true. That moment is the big highlight, but yeah. Well, that's about it from me in terms of questions. I'm super excited about Third Strike. I'm excited to be a part of Evo again in a in-person capacity. And once again, the fact that you guys are putting in this effort for me, for myself and my crew, for Yo Video Games, to make this a reality of a non-compromising experience of, you know, the viewership that people expect from home, or the viewing experience people expect from home, with the in-person sort of fun that Evo brings, and you know, having a guest here and there, that sounds incredibly cool, man. So again, thank you, and I really appreciate the time. I
can promise you at least one guest. I'll do that one time a year I show up on camera thing and swing by and say
that'll be good. That'll be good. All right, Rick, I appreciate it, dude. And if there's any more updates from Evo stuff, just hit me up on Twitter. We'll get the word out. And if there's more registration information, if 1,000 people have signed up for Third Strike, I definitely want to know.
You can find out when numbers go live at the end of registration, like everyone else, my friend. But for now, man. Again.
All right. Sweet. Thanks, Rick. I appreciate it, dude.
Hundreds registered in the first day.
That's crazy. That's crazy. All right. Thanks, Rick. I'll be talking to you guys soon.
See you, Max.
Take care. That's our big announcement. I'm going to Evo this year. For anybody that missed it, a big part of Evo on my part, the last couple years, which have made it difficult for me to go to Evo, has been the fact that, again, 40 to 60,000 people tune into my channel when Evo happens. It's like my biggest streams of the year. So it's like, dude, like, this, even, Yo Video Games, my friends, is like, is there a realistic outcome where you can actually go to Evo again? And I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. Am I going to bring my equipment? I'm not. I'm not going to bring my stream, but we still need to figure that stuff out. We still need to figure out all this stuff. Am I worried about getting sick? Am I going to be spending the majority of my time at this Evo in my head, walking around and shaking hands? Will you guys be seeing me as much at this Evo? You'll probably see me the least of any Evo ever. To be completely honest, any Evo ever. I'm not going to be walking around with a camera and a microphone. To me, I've done that before at Evo, and guess what? Nobody gives a shit. I've actually done that before, and people did not tune in. It was not that interesting, because we lack the one-on-one interaction. With that being said, I'm going to be spending the majority of my time behind the scenes, and we're going to be streaming kind of similar to this. And I can't tell you exactly what it's going to be because, again, I don't want to make promises that don't eventually happen. But I want to provide an experience similar to this with a chat and something that you can recognize while being at Evo. And I have the freedom to peruse Evo streams, to watch stuff, to include my friends if they're there, to provide commentary with you guys so that I can have a one-to-one with you all and just sit and chill. But the difference now is that we're actually there. We're actually going to be at the event. So in the event of like cool things happening or something like that, and someone's there or around that I haven't seen in a long time and we can just chat about stuff, that's possible. You'll at least get some matches? Definitely not.